Good morning and welcome to Conversations with Buddy. We record these podcasts at the Rec Podcast Recording Studio here in Kaiser, Oregon. We drop a new podcast every Friday morning with a new story that will impact someone, and we hope that someone is you. Please take a moment to give us a review, hit the subscribe button, and also share this on your favorite social media platform, Facebook, Instagram. We want to get these messages out to the people and to impact the people one testimony at a time. This morning, I have a guest, and his name is David Prosser. Welcome, David.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey, thanks for being here this morning. It's going to be great. I can't wait to just hear your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Honored to be on here.
Well, I'm going to take a quick moment and just introduce you, tell a little bit about you, and then we're going to dive deep and hear more about you. The good, bad, and the ugly, right? All right, here's what I know about you. You're a husband. What's your wife's name?
Emma.
You're a dad, new dad.
Yeah, 6-month-old baby at home named Magnolia.
Has she changed your life?
Oh, yeah. I was kind of reflecting on it this morning because I had a picture pop up with her in the hospital. So, just a day old. And just looking at that picture, it's like, yeah, everything's changed.
What's it mean to be a dad? Just a side note. I just want to hear.
Yeah. Well, I think of it as just a responsibility. Part of what I've been thinking lately too is that's another way that we just have a legacy and how that's passed on. But yeah, I just look at it as a great opportunity to show her what a loving father is, and that could be a way that can connect her to her heavenly Father. So
wow,
I just think there's a huge importance on the role of fathers, and in the world today, it's kind of lacking. So. Definitely want to just be a good example and not have her grow up with any sort of father fracture and know a loving father because she has one in heaven.
Amen. Hey, that's well said. That is a big responsibility, having kids and bringing them up in this world that we live in today. But you're part of FCA. What is FCA?
Yeah, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I know that you went to Sprague High School. You graduated in 2016?
Yep.
Was football your main sport?
It was, kind of my main sport, but I wouldn't say it was my favorite sport. Ooh. Basketball was definitely my favorite sport, but just, the size that God blessed me with, I wasn't going to make it far in basketball, so I definitely had the football body.
All right. So that means you went to college and played football for at least a couple years in college.
Yeah, I played 3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
Got it. Let's see. You're a super positive guy, even though there's been some difficult circumstances. You've had 5 knee surgeries. Yeah. I'm sure football has something to do with that.
Yep.
You say that you're a big nerd. You're a computer science major at George Fox University. Mm-hmm. Your personal vision is to see everyone enter into an intimate, growing relationship with Jesus through scripture, worship, and prayer.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Well, hey, walk us through a little bit. Where were you born at?
Yeah, I was born in Tucson, Arizona. So that's where, I call it home, even though I my family moved up to Oregon when I was probably like 3 or 4. So really grew up here in Oregon, in Salem. But all my extended family's down in Arizona. It's where my dad and mom met. My dad was in the Air Force, so that's kind of what caused us to move up to Oregon. It was a move that was great for us, but we kind of left all of our extended family behind. So it was just 4 of us because I have an older brother. So my parents and me and my brother living in Oregon, but that definitely was a good upbringing, and I love it here now. Yeah. Like this is definitely my home.
Okay. So think about Arizona. You probably wish this morning that you were in Arizona because we woke up to snow.
Yeah. That is one thing I will always miss is the warm weather.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so you have one sibling, a brother, and he's older than you.
Yeah.
How much older?
2.5 years older.
Okay. Did you guys grow up like rough housing and?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of fighting between us and picking on each other, and he was bigger for a while, so he would be a little bit more the physical picking on me, and I'd be kind of egging him on. But then we kind of caught up to each other pretty early on, so then he didn't pick on me as much because I was the same size as him. So
gotcha. How about your relationship today? Is it different? Is it better or worse? What's that effect?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. He's my best friend, and just kind of partner in life. And, I think part of that, what changed, it was in high school when he was a senior. I was a sophomore.
Okay.
We had an amazing opportunity to be on the same football team, and we played the same position. And so our offense actually kind of put in a special formation. So we were both tight ends, and so we got to both be playing at the same time and on each side of the line.
Swear.
Yeah, so that was just an amazing experience. Like every day at practice, we'd be next to each other, like doing the same drills, running together. So that really kind of bonded us and brought us together.
Okay. So as a sophomore, you were starting on offense for the varsity team.
Yeah, I think just part of that was I grew a lot early. So by like 7th grade, I was already 6 foot tall and kind of stopped growing shortly after that, but always had, pretty good.
As long as you catch a ball, man, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool. Okay. So you grew up, or you were born in Arizona, moved to Oregon. Your dad was military. Mm-hmm. That's cool. I did not know that about your dad. So thank you, sir, for serving.
Yeah.
How long was your dad in the military?
He was over 20 years, and then retired. And so now he's still working with the Oregon National Guard.
Okay.
He worked for the Air National Guard for a while. And now he just works as a civilian, kind of in the same role. So.
Okay. And then your brother also lives local?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, lives in South Salem too.
Very cool. It's awesome. All right. So you go to Sprague High School. You go to George Fox. You played football, basketball, but you played football in college. Mm-hmm. So I know you had some rough times. Did your knee surgery start in high school, or was that only in college?
Yeah, actually, the very first time I had knee surgery, I tore ACL and meniscus in my left knee, and that was as an 8th grader, so before high school.
Football?
That was actually playing basketball, so that's kind of what kicked off the bad knees, but most of the injuries were from football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, ACL and meniscus, that's not good.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good year.
Yeah, I mean, even through that, and at an early age, I kind of just looked at it as a challenge and never really, doubted what was happening. But just like, okay, like this is what's in front of me now, and just got to go through physical therapy, do all the right things, and then I can get back to doing what I love, playing sports.
Yeah. So you must have been pretty competitive, would you say?
Oh, yeah. Very, very competitive.
Love it. Okay, so then you graduate from Sprague, you go to George Fox. What made you go to George Fox? What of all colleges you can go to, why that one?
Yeah. Part of it was there was the opportunity to play football there. But that I don't think really was the driving factor, because like it would have been great to continue to play football, but it wasn't really like, the love, my passion. And so it was a fun opportunity. I wanted to keep playing sports and I had opportunity there. But really kind of what was the driving factor, which, plays a huge part of my testimony. But my senior year, FCA actually came to Sprague for the first time.
Okay.
And I wanted to get involved with this club because I grew up Christian. So I had this, underlying faith. It wasn't very deep because just in my younger years, with sports kind of being my focus, like I wasn't really a part of any youth groups or anything like that. So I was Christian, but didn't really have much of like a personal walk of faith. Yeah. I was more of like, I go to church because my parents are saying we're going to church. Yeah. It wasn't really, my desire. But when I found this thing where it was combining sports, which is a huge passion of mine, and also my faith, I was like, okay, I want to learn more about this. And so I kind of took a little bit of a leadership role in that, just probably because I was one of the seniors and just shared a few devotionals at lunch. And so then it was kind of like this was my first personal steps, and I was kind of wanting to grow. So that played a huge role, and it was like, okay, here's this Christian university. I can continue to grow in my faith. That's definitely the direction I wanted to go. So that's why I chose George Fox. Cool.
So then you go to George Fox. You play football. Yeah. You said 3 years.
Yeah.
So walk us through that journey. I know there's a story in that one there. Tell us about that, where you started and kind of why it ended at your 3rd year instead of going that 4th year, because I think that was maybe a transitional point of your life. Is that true? Okay.
Yeah. So I really did love football. Like I said, it wasn't my passion, my favorite sport, but definitely love football. So that was going in, like I was pumped, I was ready. But then I quickly realized like it's a lot more demanding in college, and even at George Fox at Division III level, like a lot of the people that are playing because it's their passion, like what they love. And so I didn't really have that as much. So when I, started going through the grind and practicing every day, like long days, and then having school on top of that, working a part-time job, just going through college, like there's a lot. And so it definitely started weighing on me. I feel like there was a little bit of burnout, and that was probably like sophomore going into junior year, like freshman year. I'm just a freshman, so I'm just trying to figure things out.
Right.
But yeah, so it was getting challenging, and just every day at practice, like it was just such a grind, and I was feeling my body kind of wearing down. Because I already had 2 knee surgeries at that point, because I tore my ACL meniscus in my other knee when I was a junior in high school.
Wow.
So yeah, I already had some injuries, and it was just a struggle kind of going through these long seasons. But I was pretty, I don't know if it was just stubborn or determined, but I was like, I started this, I have to see this through, because just the kind of how college football works, like your freshman class, you're going to have a huge class, but by the time you graduate, there's maybe like 10, 15 that stuck around, because you really got to love it to do it for 4 years, and just how tough it is. So I was just wanting to see it through. Like, I guess I didn't really necessarily want to keep playing because I loved it, but I was like, I started this, I have to finish this. But then my junior year is kind of when things had changed, because it was spring ball going into what would be my senior final football season. And I was having fun. Like I finally started to get some playing time, and just there was a good group of guys. Like I did love my experience and everything, besides the physical part. But the coaches were amazing at George Fox, and my teammates were awesome. Like it was an awesome experience. But then junior year spring practice, I injured my knee again. And so it didn't seem like it was going to be that significant of a knee injury. It was just some torn meniscus. But since I had already torn meniscus in that knee, it was like, okay, we'll see how this surgery goes. We're just going to try to trim it out. I'll rehab over the summer, try to see if I can recover for the beginning of camp and my senior season. But over that summer, going into senior year, I wasn't able to recover. So what happened was I needed to have a meniscus transplant in my right knee. And that's a 2-year recovery from surgery.
Wow,
so,
a meniscus transplant. Never heard of that one before.
Yeah. And it's kind of a process. Like they do some imaging on your knee, map it out, and then you kind of get put on a list till you get a match for the shape of your meniscus. And so
it's like a kidney or heart transplant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a meniscus transplant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to wait for a match, and then got a cadaver's knee, meniscus in my knee, and yeah, after that, I mean, I'm recovering now, and it's doing good, but there was definitely a long road to recovery. So that ended my football playing career. But really, like looking back on it now, like this is kind of, like you said, the pivotal point of my testimony, because what I see now looking back is, even though football wasn't, my love, my passion, it was kind of becoming my idol. And all my time and energy, because I mean, doing a college sport is just so demanding of your time and energy, but everything went into football. And so what I said earlier was I went to George Fox to grow in my faith. Well, I went there kind of just thinking, being surrounded by faith, my faith would grow. But what I was missing was putting in the effort. So I still was, even at a college, that's a Christian college, I was still kind of wandering a little bit, wasn't really in that relationship with Jesus yet. So then, now this injury happens. It did shake me up quite a bit, and it was kind of a low point. But now seeing it was, I think, God kind of using that as taking away what was becoming my idol. So there's no more football. Like my time, energy, it wasn't able to play anymore. So like he kind of just took it all away from me. And luckily though, that's kind of also when Emma came into my life. We got together, and she was like, okay, one of the most important things we need to do is find a church and start regularly going to church.
Pause for just 1 sec.
Yeah.
Let me just say this here. The 2 words I heard you say was stubborn and determined. Those are kind of the same word in a different format. Determined would be like the positive view of something. Stubborn is, hey, you're stubborn. That might be a negative. Yeah. But stubborn and determined, whatever we're doing, God still has a plan for your life. And whatever he wants to do, he's going to accomplish, no matter how tough that we think we are, how determined we think we are. God's still has a plan for you. Okay, so you're heading into your senior year. are you dating Emma at this time, or what is this? And then how do you guys actually get married? So walk me through college, football, and then meeting Emma and getting married. What's that look like?
Yeah. So we actually met at the part-time job I was working at. I was working in the Woodburn Outlet Malls at Under Armour. And so we met. She was working there. And we kind of have a crazy story because we had worked there at the same time for about 3 years, but we were always missing each other because I would not be working during football season, and that's when she would be there. And then she would go for like 3 months at a time overseas to Germany to stay with some family and nanny for them. So that just happened to be the time I was actually working there. So yeah, we didn't finally work together until 2018, so my junior year of college. And it was just kind of an immediate connection. And so we started dating, and then I found out 2 weeks later she was going to Germany for 3 months. So that was a challenging way to start a relationship, but it was also just really good because we were able to just communicate, work on communication, a lot of just phone calls, FaceTimes. And there was like a 8-hour time difference. So it'd be like I was waking up, she was going to bed. But yeah, we were still able to get through it. And,
Thank God for FaceTime and video chatting, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that got us through it.
Yeah, and those early moments of learning how to communicate, or communication really is important.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of emotion because you like the girl, and now you have to just communicate. You can't necessarily be with her. So okay, so she goes to Germany she's also the same year, like she's a senior as well?
No, so she's a year and like 6 months older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's already graduated by this time?
Well, she didn't go to college. She did a little bit of like cosmetic school for a year.
Okay.
And then, she was just working full time.
So she can go to George Fox. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Made that assumption, but that's not a good assumption.
Yeah.
Never assume. Okay. Very cool. So how long after you meet her do you guys get married?
Yeah, we dated for about a year and a half, and then we were engaged.
Yeah.
And only engaged for probably like 6 months. So went pretty quickly because we just kind of knew from the beginning that this is who God had for us. And it was, we knew pretty early on. So we kind of didn't want to waste too much time. And we're like, we're both ready for this.
We're
like,
ready.
We know where we're going to be. So like, why have too much time in between? So we got married in August of 2020.
Cool. August of 2020. What day in August?
August 8th.
August 8th. Okay. My daughter got married the month before you of 2020, which was interesting because I was kind of the early stage of COVID, and you can't have a wedding or you can't have more than 25 people there. Yeah. What's interesting that you guys, most guys, I'm going to pick on the guys for a moment. We don't like to commit, you know. I see a lot of guys dating their girlfriend for 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years. I've heard lots of stories. I'm encouraged that you found the girl, and a year and a half later you're engaged. Yeah. And shortly after you're married. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So good job, David. Probably need to teach a few men how to step up their game a little bit. Yeah. So, okay. So you graduate, you get married in August of 2020. How long until you guys decide to have a baby? Well, I guess you had your little girl recently. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely wanted to wait a little bit, just enjoy married life and grow in our relationship and just continue to get closer. So it was almost 2 years before we were like, we're ready. But that was it once we had her. But so, it was about a year and a half, and we're like, okay, I think now we're ready because we would love to have a bigger family if that's what God has for us and blesses us with that. So we're like, well, we gotta start sometime. So start right now.
We're ready. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's good. Being a dad, it's pretty cool. I'm sure it changed your life, and I'm sure she's daddy's little girl. Oh yeah. Are you pretty protective over her?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. Learning how to, train up your daughter in the way she should go, that God has a plan for her life. Yeah. How do you do that? What's that look like to you?
Yeah. I think really kind of the way I've been looking at that is she'll just learn and observe from me. So what's most important is just my relationship with God and how I model that to her. And same thing with my wife. Like that's the exact same. We're on the same page with that. Like we want to really show her and not just tell her. So really kind of her growing up, like she knows what prayer is because we pray all the time. She reads the Bible because we read it to her and she knows that we love reading it. So just living that example for her.
That's a lesson because I think a lot of us parents, I don't know about you, but a lot of our parents, is do as I say, not as I do. It's, one of the things, and like you, I wanted to be a dad who actually modeled, and by the way, I'm not perfect, nor are you. And our kids know that, but they know that love conquers all that. Love conquers sin. And she's actually watching what you do, not what you say. So the fact that you actually are aware of that is pretty cool. And by the way, if she's ever misbehaving, you might actually look in the mirror and see what it is that you're doing. Maybe that's not the way it should be done. So that was my observation for me is a lot of times it was my leadership skills or my lack of my leadership skills. So that's cool. Well, I noticed that you said you were a computer science major. When you got out of college, what was your goal? Because that's gonna lead us into what you're doing today, and that's really the story, your story. But why computer science? What was that about?
Yeah, I loved computers and technology kind of growing up, and I actually went to George Fox not knowing what I was going to do. So I actually started out as just a business major because I was like, that's pretty generic. I can go a lot of different ways with that. I'm sure I'll find something I like. But it was after my first semester, I was like, okay, this isn't what I want to do. And I just learned a little bit more. I think it was through one of my business classes. You had to interview some of the heads of different departments, and then I interviewed the head of the computer science department, and just hearing what he was talking about and what they are teaching, I was like, okay, this definitely interests me. This is something I want to do. So that's when I switched majors and I did information systems major. So it's kind of it's computer science and business, a little bit mixed, but also it's just pretty broad across the computer science just field. So I did a lot of coding, web design, some network stuff, cybersecurity. So I kind of got a little bit of experience in all of those things. But I loved it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, let's segue a little bit into kind of really the story, your story, like where you're at today, what you're doing. You're part of FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I want to really hear the story about what FC is. I've heard of it. I've obviously, I support you through prayer and some financial stuff. And talk to us about that. I know you started it in high school. And you kind of went away and went to college and then you came back to it. So walk us through kind of your journey and then we'll hit you up on some Bible verses that you know. So
love it. Yeah. Well, that's definitely wasn't kind of the plan I thought was going to unfold. And so coming out of college, I got a job pretty soon at the Oregon National Guard. My dad helped me get a job there. So I was working in the IT department there. And that was what I thought my career was. My plan was work there, get some experience, and then I can, go find another high-paying job, take care of my family. But yeah, God definitely had a different plan. And he started really moving in my life, I would say, right as I was graduating from college. And what played a huge, pivotal role in this was actually a week before we got married, Emma and I were baptized together. And that was one of the best experiences, entering into marriage, just on the same page and living these new lives and wanting to leave everything behind. Yeah. So this was kind of just a season of just a lot of spiritual growth and really kind of way that was happening was when Emma was like, we need to find a church. We got plugged into Church on the Hill because she had been going there for a few years. And as soon as I went there for the very first service, I felt like a shift in my heart where previously I knew I needed to go to church, but it wasn't really, I want to go to church. But when I went there, I was like, okay, this felt different and I actually want to go again. So yeah, we started just going regularly, Church on the Hill. We started volunteering and serving in other areas. And I think that's really kind of what started just this rapid growth of faith. And So yeah, we were serving pretty much in every area we can, just really trying to get plugged into the community.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what led us on this journey to get baptized together a week before our wedding. And then this is like where just the story gets really crazy and how you know that this is what God wanted and he had his hand in all of this. Like the week or so after that, they announced the new middle school youth pastor, and that was Taylor Wilkins. And Taylor was my FCA leader when I was a senior in high school. And so, yeah, we kind of just crossed paths again. And there's even more to the story. Like throughout the years, like after graduating high school, we would, kind of constantly cross paths in just the craziest places. So I kind of had recognized this and thought, okay, there's got to be some reason why I keep running into this guy. But yeah, when they announced him as the new middle school youth pastor, I just kind of knew right away and felt God saying, like, whatever he's doing, get involved and serve with him. So even that service, I looked over to Emma. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be on the middle school youth team this year.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I joined the youth group, was a small group leader. And that's kind of where I found that I have a heart for youth and for ministry, because I never really had that experience before and never was a part of that. So that was, kind of the beginning of wanting more. But also what really kind of changed my life was after every youth group, there would just be a small handful of leaders that would go back into like kind of a back room in the church and just have these worship nights. And we would be back there for 2-3 hours, like just, that was really where I felt like first time felt the presence of God and just amazing miracles, like crazy things were happening. And that's kind of what really lit a fire in my heart and wanting to just pursue Jesus and nothing else and just really lay down my life. So that's kind of what started this prayer that I prayed for a month or so, of just, asking God, like, whatever you want in my life, like I will lay down my life. I'll quit my job. I will go overseas if that's where you want me to go. Like whatever you want, like I will do it. And so, after a few weeks of praying that, he actually answered that, which I learned you got to be careful praying those dangerous prayers.
Careful what you pray for, man. Do you really mean what you say?
Yeah. So, and it's just crazy too, because Taylor, who I'm now serving with in the middle school youth group, he's still on staff with FCA. He's been on staff for like the past 8 years. Yeah. So he's like this direct connection that I have with FCA. Yeah. But it was actually another friend from church who called me randomly one day and said, "Hey, have you ever thought of working for FCA?" And I was at first like, "No, I've only been working in IT for like 6 months, and this is my career. Like I gotta be here for a couple of years at least." But I just was like, "No, I haven't thought about that, but I have an experience with it, and I really enjoyed FCA." So I just told him that, okay, I'll hear more information about this. And so he set me up with a meeting with Pat Bailey.
Coach Pat Bailey, man. Love it.
Oh, yeah. And
that guy's a stud.
Yeah. From when I first met him and just talked a little bit more about FCA, I kind of just knew, I was like, okay, like this is answering that prayer. This is what God's leading me to. So yeah, it wasn't really as much of a decision, just more kind of processing and like, oh, okay, so this is the direction I'm supposed to go in life.
Because you prayed, Lord, show me the way. I'm willing to die, lay down my life for you. Okay, it's time. Okay. Yeah,
so it was about 7 months that I worked at the Oregon National Guard in IT, and then I felt that call to ministry. So then I quit that job in July of 2021, and then started full-time fundraising, because FCA is a support raise position. Yeah. So they want you to raise your first year's budget before you start going to high schools and start with like the on-campus ministry with coaches and athletes. So then I officially got started with FCA official staff in November of 2021. 2021, yeah.
2021, okay. So a year and a half roughly.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
So... And raising support, that's challenging, because it's not, you don't get a paycheck. You just got to go raise support, and you have to, I bet you spend a lot of time praying about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So walk me through, on your shirt, it says, John 3:30. What's that verse say?
Yeah, he must become greater and I must become less. Or other translations, he must increase, but I must decrease.
It's a great one. You also, before this podcast, we were talking to a young man out here.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about your favorite Bible verse, or at least the one this year.
Yeah.
What is that one?
Yeah, that's Joshua 1:9. And have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.
I'm going to say amen to that one.
Yeah.
It's a great one. He's with you wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
And you apparently believe that? Is that right?
Oh, I need that. Yeah.
You need that and you believe that.
Yeah, that's why that's my verse for the year, and I'm praying that often.
And you're sticking with it.
He gives me the courage I need, the strength I need, and yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
That's incredible. And you're a young guy. I think I told you I was 28 before I came to know the Lord. So how old are you? You said
24.
24. You're 24. Yeah, I was not anywhere at 24. God was still, well, he's still chipping away, but he was really chipping away back then. So now I'm encouraged where you're at, that your commitment to the Lord, the commitment to your wife and your daughter, your commitment to FCA. What is the next, on a funner note, let's just say, like, do you guys have travel plans? What do you guys do as a family? Maybe having more kids. What does the next 5 to 10 years look like for you guys?
Yeah, we love traveling, so that would be something we'd love to do. But yeah, it's kind of difficult to plan things out now.
Yeah,
we will be going. Next month is my birthday, so I think we're going to be going to Bend for like a day or two. Yeah. So that's something we're looking forward to.
It's perfect.
Yeah, but we would love to have more kids over the next few years. But really, like, we kind of just look at it as just obedience to God and what He's calling us to do right now. And then it was actually Pat who was encouraging me with this the other day, of just like looking at the next step that God has for you. Like he's shining a light down at our feet just for the next step. And there's been many times where I take my eyes up from the light where he's trying to lead me, and then all I see is darkness, and I can wander a bit or get lost. So that's kind of just been our prayer. So the next few years, like, I don't know what it's going to look like, but our prayer is that we're just being obedient to what God has for us and where he's leading us. So I'm hoping that I'm working just with FCA. We're having camps in Salem. We're having events. Every school here has an FCA presence, every middle school, high school, college. But I just kind of feel like that's got God's vision for the city of Salem and Sam Kaiser area, just for this unity and all becoming just one church, the body of Christ. So that's kind of, my focus is, I guess, more on the short term and just what's right in front of me. But I just have big visions and big plans for what's coming ahead.
I was thinking when you said the Lord shines light on your feet, it reminds me of Psalm 119, 105. The word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And you're right, man, just focus on the light. Where it shines brightest, and God will lead you. This is pretty awesome, man, where it almost feels like you're not really too worried about the future. You're just focused on the present and being right here, right now. And, being part of FCA, what I want to really ask for the audience is, how would somebody come alongside you? How would they financially support you? How would they pray for you? How would they get involved in FCA? How would they learn more about what David's doing? Because, dude, you're everywhere. I go places. I'm pretty involved. But I know that you're involved in a Bible study on Friday mornings. And I think that's really cool. You're a young group of guys really paving the way for this community of Salem, and and you're at different events. So I really like that you're involved. I mean, it takes involvement in the community. Yes, our ministry is to take care of our wife and our kids. That's the primary ministry. But beyond that there's more work to be done. Right?
Definitely.
So, so how would somebody come alongside you? How do they connect with you and learn more about David? Because you're a good guy, man. I like hanging out with you. I really do.
It's great hanging out with you too, buddy. I would love to just connect with anyone that is interested in hearing more about FCA. Just having lunch or coffee with them, because that is a huge part. Is with FCA, we want a partnership, and we kind of have a small saying where it's lead, disciple, and partner. So that's a huge part, is bringing people into the ministry with us. And we often say like handing off the ministry. So volunteers are always kind of a need. And also just like, getting people that were in the high schools that I'm at. So partner with people that can come back to their alma mater and share their testimony and share what God's done in their life. Because when you're in high school, man, it could be very intimidating what the future holds, and what our mission is with FCA is to lead every coach and athlete into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and His church. So these people that can come back and share with people that may not have this faith or may not know what the future holds, it's like, well, Jesus changed my life and He's guided me to where I'm at now. And that's like the key part of it. So I think that's just one way where bringing more people into the ministry, we can have these testimonies to share with high schoolers. And that's what we're kind of trying to grow right now in the Salem areas, is just people involved with the ministry, helping out at camps, at events. But also just, like you said earlier, just a huge part of what I'm doing right now too is also raising support. So to continue to do this ministry, we also need people to partner with us financially to give us the funds we need to go and buy food for these high schoolers when I'm meeting them at lunch for Bible studies and other, ministry resources and materials. And then just through kind of word of mouth, like that's been a huge way that we can connect with coaches, teachers at new schools that may not have FCA. And we can, talk about what that partnership looks like. And because really it only takes a coach, if he wants to get involved, or a teacher that wants to host what we call huddles, which are just student-led Bible studies.
Okay.
And so once we get a teacher that can host, then we just find a couple kids that want to have this at their school, that want to grow in faith and study the Bible at lunch or after school, whenever. And it doesn't have to be athletes too. Like I always want to say that, like, Pat has a great saying where he says, if you wear sneakers, you're an athlete. You could be a part of FCA.
And that was really one of my questions is a couple of things. Number one, have you gone back to your alma mater, like Sprague? Yeah. And what about those kids that aren't necessarily an athlete? I don't play football, baseball, whatever, but you just kind of answered that question. If you wear sneakers, you're an athlete. Yeah. I like it. So have you gone back to Sprague and reconnected with some coaches there?
I've know a handful of the coaches. I haven't been to their huddle yet, but I have interacted with some of the Sprague students that are leaders in their huddle. And we call the leadership team SALT, Student Athlete Leadership Team. So last year we had a handful of meetings, and then last month we actually had a citywide leadership training with all the schools that have huddles. And so, I've got to spend a little bit of time with some of the Sprague students, and it's just really cool because I can share with them. Like 7 years ago, I was in your seats and where you're at right now, and just getting to share kind of the impact that FCA had with me. And then because it really did start this journey of faith, really changed my life, and so now to be full circle in that and getting to help other students kind of on that journey, it's been really cool.
And I hope and pray that this podcast, you'll be able to share it with people, and just it's your testimony, of faith, and sometimes there is you kind of go all in, then you go to college and maybe you veer away a little bit. And then how God works through you to bring you back to the road, to the way, which is Jesus. And I think we all need to hear that. And I had my journey of faith as well. So, well, David, this has been phenomenal to connect with you, hear your story. I can't wait to let people hear your story. It's really cool. Your journey of faith to, marriage and being baptized a week before you got married. That's really cool. Those are really neat things. I honestly think your story is going to help guys to step up their game and go, you know what? If you want to get married, you're a young guy, you're in high school or college, you don't have to date for 12 years or 7 years. You can actually go, you know what? I've been praying about this, and I'm praying that you're the one, and actually make the decision, move forward and get engaged, get married, and have kids. So how does somebody reach out to you? What you want them to email you, call you? And I'll put in the show notes kind of the way they contact with you. And I think, just for the record, I think anybody who does reach out to you, I think you'll help change their life and give them really an awesome perspective as a young guy. loving the Lord and really desiring to follow him.
Yeah, I'd love to just connect with anyone and come alongside anyone, just share more information, disciple, any of that. So my email that you can get a hold of me with is dprosser@fca.org.
Yeah.
So that's my FCA email.
Yeah.
And then phone number is 503-510-5879.
Awesome. Well, I hope somebody reaches out, either email or phone call. But I will put those in the show notes so that way people can actually connect with you.
Yeah,
It'd be awesome to see what happens there. Well, brother, it's been good to connect with you. I'll be praying for you as you continue this journey of faith, because it's by faith. It's how we please God.
Yeah.
Without faith, it's impossible to please God. And your faith encourages me. I'm an older guy, but I'm still encouraged by where you're at. So good job. Well, thanks for being a part of our show. Thank you for you listeners out there that listen each week. Please, again, subscribe, share, review. And if you'd like to be a donor one day, a Patreon donor, you can email me at buddyp7@gmail.com. We'd love to continue these podcasts, and it does take money to do these and to share the good news of Jesus. So thank you again for being a part of this, and we'll see you next week.